I strongly urge any sort of animal rights activists to visit a farm just to see how much farmers do really care for their animals.
Farmers, comprising just 2% of the U.S. population and often working 24/7 to feed the nation, care deeply about animals, and they are the leading advocates in animal welfare. Farmers are passionate about producing quality food at an affordable price so that you can feed your family. Despite their crucial role and experience, they face relentless criticism from those unaware of farming practices, and are often overlooked in favor of uninformed opinions from consumers who may have never worked or even visited a farm. We are joined by Ashlyn Clemmer, a 9th-generation farmer and an animal nutritionist deeply passionate about animal welfare. Today, we're talking about animal welfare from a farmer's perspective.
We put a lot into it. It is our livelihood. This is our passion. So it is really important to us to make sure that they're taken care of and taken care of properly and quickly.
There's a difference between animal rights and animal welfare. Animal rights activists believe animals should be treated with similar rights to humans, often advocating to an end of their use in food. This form of activism, illegally entering and documenting often unseen animal spaces, is not new, and in some cases have allowed us to see a different perspective of the farming industry. Welcome to Food for Thought, where we discuss food topics from a unique food science perspective, exploring subjects you may have never considered before. What is animal welfare?
So animal welfare is primarily making sure that our livestock, so for us, our cattle in particular, are taken care of, they're happy ultimately, and that we're handling them in a way that is humane and that basically they are calm and not stressed whatsoever during any process that we put them through on our operation.
Do you have a different perspective to animal welfare than an animal rights activist does? And what is your perspective? Since you work on a farm or your family owns a farm, and so you have a different view of the world.
My perception is completely opposite of that. Just through living my entire life on a farm and being in an agricultural community, just the things that I see every day proves otherwise. I strongly urge any sort of animal rights activists to visit a farm just to see how much farmers do really care for their animals. Just the early mornings, checking them, we're doing that right now as we have calves and they're basically delivering their babies. So we want to make sure that they're taken care of, that they're not having any sort of complications, that we need to basically help them and make their lives easier, and that they stay healthy and aren't basically in distress. Those are some important things for us. There have been many nights that we've been up in the late hours, and I know a lot of other people in our community can probably say the same, just working with sick calves or cows and trying to give them the best life and opportunity possible, and just overall making sure they're healthy and happy. Those are our main goals. So we put a lot into it. It is our livelihood. This is our passion. So it is really important to us to make sure that they're taken care of and taken care of properly and quickly.
What is stress-free handling?
So stress-free handling is understanding their flight zone. That is basically a proven diagram that shows what points that you need to be at in order to push them in the direction you need them to go. You don't need to be yelling at them. That we try to stay calm and collected. We're not yelling at each other as we're working with our cattle. We're not yelling at the cattle. Just making sure that this is a calm and easy process for them so that they're not stressed throughout that process, and then they're going to remember that once they are in that sort of situation again. So we work our cattle at least once a year. So with that, they're going to remember those moments, and they're not going to want to come in if they're not handled correctly, and they're going to be not as tame. So if the cattle are not tame, then that means it's a safety concern for them because they could potentially try to hurt themselves as well as us. So none of us want to put ourselves in a dangerous situation, especially our cattle as well, since they are important to us. So an area that they're not having to be pushed or put in a corner Basically that there's a straight alley with an end that they have a spot to go to that allows them to go into the chute, which keeps them contained so that we can vaccinate them or treat them if they're sick or whatever we need to do. We want to make that as comfortable for them as possible. Another step in quality assurance to make sure our consumers getting the best meat possible is basically administering any sort of medications, so possibly antibiotics or just vaccinations to keep them healthy and prevent us from using antibiotics.